Well, it's interesting. A lot of people don't know what to expect when they're calling for counseling. I mean, they'll hear, oftentimes if I ask, have you been to counseling before? People say no, and why did you call? So-and-so told me it'd be a good idea for me to talk to somebody. Don't know how this works. And what I always tell people is that what's important is that if you're thinking that you need to sort through things or you're having difficulty getting over something, grief, death, anything, or just going through a difficult stage of life, sometimes it just helps to be able to talk to somebody. But there isn't any therapist that has all the answers for anybody. And I'm really clear that I don't have the answers either, but that I can help in listening to them and helping them figure out their own answers. And that I really have a belief that people do have their own truth, and that they're muddled, momentarily muddled. So as soon as they come, I'm trying to help them not need to be here anymore, really. Oftentimes people, when they call, don't know what to ask, so it's sort of, what kind of counseling do you do? And what they're looking for is, are you doing the kind of counseling that I think I might need? Or they can't name it. And so oftentimes it's easier if I just step in and say, what has occurred or what's happening in your life right now that made you think that maybe you needed counseling? What's the issue today? I never lost sight of the fact that the hardest part for people who contact me or any therapist is just that, making that contact, making that call and saying, I need help. And I always do try to acknowledge that that is the hardest thing that they've done. And I let them know too that even though, I have a degree and I have these credentials, that none of it means anything if they can't really talk, if they can't really trust or connect. And if they can't connect with me within the first or second session, then I'll help them find somebody that they can connect with, but not to stop looking for a therapist or somebody. All therapists are empathizers, and it's very important to certainly have empathy and to acknowledge people's feelings. But I always let people know that I'm not necessarily a hand patter. It doesn't mean I don't do it. I do when it's necessary. But I really believe that counseling is about a person's desire to do some work on themselves, that they're trying to change something or adapt to something. So while I can hand pat and acknowledge maybe they're angry or uncomfortable or sad, what have you, I'll also ask hard questions. I really have to trust the client. So it's a working relationship. We're working together on their issues, if you will, or concerns. So, I always kind of put that ball back in their court saying, where do you want to go? And if you don't want to answer that, you don't have to. Now, I have to regularly remind that I didn't do it. So, because if people believe that, then they're going to keep coming back. And if they do keep coming back, then I'm not doing my job. I've created a dependency, and I'm trying to create independence, emotional and mental independence. What I strive to do is really look for what are people's strengths, and what is it that has helped them get through other things, and what do they have to work with, and how can we utilize that part of themselves. I have to find those things in them and use those resources, and then rebuild from there and apply it to whatever they're experiencing now. So my job is not to keep them maimed, so to speak, or keep people in their crisis or in their pain, but to help them through it and also teach them that I didn't do it, they did it. I sit with you. I sit with you in your journey. I sit with you in your pain and let you know that I'm not going to leave you alone. and you're not alone, and that I'll make sure that I don't leave you stuck. I am not looking for lifetime clients. So as soon as they come in, I'm trying to help them access their own tools and process things and get them back out and on their way. So depending upon how severe they're feeling their issue or reason for entering counseling is, at best once a week. At best once a week. Every other week is pretty common initially. So sometimes we can start just once a week for the first 2 or 3 weeks, and then go to every other week, and then maybe every 3 weeks. And sometimes I have to just say, you know, we're done, because now we're just chatting like friends, and you can have friends, and that can cause panic in clients. Like, are you kicking me out of therapy? You know, it's like, I don't think you need me for a while. Doesn't mean you can't never ever come back, but right now you need to go live. It's not that there are people that don't need to be in counseling lifetime. For some people, that's a viable option, and it's an affordable option that they'll always have somebody to consult with, and they like it, and as long as that's what's clear. I really think that, like everything else in technology, this is where we're headed in the counseling field, where people can access their therapist at home. There are therapists already that certainly do electronic counseling, messaging. There are other therapists that do webcam counseling. People want to be in the comfort of their own home, and I think that being in their own home lends itself to their comfort level, and it also expands the fact that I can talk to people not just in my own community, but even further out. Absolutely, absolutely. And we would set up a time and schedule an appointment in the same way. Now, the one area that it doesn't lend itself to is if somebody's really going through some very critical situations. And what I mean by critical is if someone's experiencing depression to the point of really contemplating suicide, webcam counseling is not for them. They really need a professional who's close by, knows their local resources, and can assist them. Whether that's getting them in touch with somebody for getting them on medication or hospitalization, what have you. So webcam counseling, I don't believe lends itself to what we call severe mental illness conditions, but more for just that need to talk to somebody, to connect. And I think that that's the exciting thing about our technology now, is about how we're connecting in a new way, and I'm really excited to be part of that, to get involved in that.